Okay, so if I told you right now that your IQ isn't just some fixed number you're stuck with for life, but something that actually changes and evolves literally every single day, you probably wouldn't believe me, right? I mean, we've been taught since childhood that intelligence is handed out at birth. But in this explainer, we're going to completely shatter that lifelong myth and look at the actual science of cognitive growth. Think about it. If IQ is truly fixed, why was Albert Einstein famously considered a slow learner as a kid? Or Charles Darwin? He was seen by his mentors as just an average student. Thomas Edison was literally expelled from school because his teachers thought his brain was addled. These historical giants weren't just struck by lightning and turned into sudden geniuses. No, they had to systematically train their minds, step by step. All right, Section 1, the fixed intelligence myth. Shattering this illusion is the absolute foundation of what we're covering today. Modern science has completely shifted how it views human cognition, and understanding this shift is step 1 to upgrading your own mental software. So neuroscience has a really clear consensus on this. The brain is a muscle. Through a process called neuroplasticity, your brain literally wires and rewires itself based entirely on how you use it. It's like a mental gym. So the real question you should be asking yourself isn't, hey, how intelligent am I naturally? But rather, how am I actively training my brain muscle on a daily basis? Moving right along to silence and productive struggle, we're starting our ascending staircase of actionable habits by addressing a massive, massive modern problem. Today, we're constantly bombarding our brains with digital input, Reels, infinite scrolls, just endless noise. We absolutely have to learn to counter that if we want to grow. And here's why. When your brain is completely empty of external input, it activates something called the default mode network. Now, this isn't just downtime or zoning out. It's the birthplace of deep thinking, creativity, and profound insight. Going back to Einstein, he didn't just sit in a busy room. He actually took long, solitary, silent walks to deliberately trigger this exact neurological state, without any distractions whatsoever. So this brings us to habit number 1. Sit for just 10 minutes every single day in complete silence. No phone, no music, no podcasts. Nothing. At first, your digitally overstimulated brain is going to find it incredibly boring, but you have to push through that initial boredom, because when you do, that silence turns into the exact profound insight that completely separates high-level thinkers from the rest of the crowd. Now contrast that deep, silent thought with our modern habit of relying on 2-second Google searches. Look, when you instantly outsource your thinking to a search engine the very moment you face mental friction, you're actively preventing your brain muscle from getting any stronger. It's like having someone else lift weights for you. And that leads us directly into habit number 2, productive struggle. This is the psychological process of trying, failing, and trying again. This friction physically forces your brain to build new neural connections. The habit here is super simple but incredibly powerful. Write down your very best answer or solution before you look for outside help. Remember, being wrong is not a weakness. It's literally the fundamental building block of true intelligence. Welcome to the High IQ Zone. Honestly, the very fact that you're sitting here engaging with this deep dive explainer to better yourself instead of mindlessly chasing 15-second dopamine shorts, that means you're already operating on a higher cognitive level. You are actively doing the work to improve your mind, and that is huge. Okay, next section, writing and mental models. Now we're transitioning from managing our attention to actively clarifying our messy thoughts and building complex, powerful mental systems. And this brilliantly illustrates a crucial difference. You see, most people write simply to remember facts, kind of like jotting down a grocery list, but highly intelligent people write to understand. Think about Leonardo da Vinci's famous notebooks. They weren't these perfectly organized, pristine textbooks, no. They were chaotic, messy, and absolutely overflowing with brilliant ideas. Writing is the tool you use to take those vague, floating concepts in your head and make them brilliantly clear and concrete. To implement this writing habit, I highly recommend asking yourself one specific question every single day. What am I not understanding? When you sit down with a pen and write out the honest answer to that question, you instantly turn vague confusion into a crystal clear starting point for immense growth. Because you see, true intelligence is almost never about memorizing isolated, random facts. That's just low-level processing. High-level thinking is about identifying patterns and building interconnected systems that explain how the world actually works. It's like a giant puzzle. We call these interconnected systems mental models.
For example, you can borrow the concept of adaptation from biology to understand how a business survives market changes. Or you could use the power of incentives from economics to understand complex human behavior in your own life. Real intelligence just explodes when your brain naturally connects these diverse, cross-disciplinary concepts to solve everyday problems. So, your actionable habit here? Deliberately learn something completely outside your comfort zone every single week to stock this mental toolbox.
All right, moving on to our final segment, memory as fast thinking. So often people completely separate memory and intelligence, assuming they're just entirely different traits, but they are deeply intertwined. Having a strong, highly accessible memory is directly linked to the sheer speed and efficiency of your daily thinking. Consider the historical precedent of Nikola Tesla. This guy possessed such an incredible synthesis of memory and intelligence that he was famous for designing and testing entire, wildly complex mechanical machines completely within his mind. He could literally run simulations of these engines in his head before he ever picked up a pen to write anything down. I mean, wow. That is the ultimate goal of mental engineering. To build that kind of sharp, accessible mind, we use habit number 5, which relies on a precise, scientifically proven procedure. Step 1 is active recall, literally forcing your brain to try to remember the information first before looking it up. Step 2 is to check your answer to correct your mistakes. And step 3 is spaced repetition, where you review that information at gradually increasing intervals over time. By forcing the brain to retrieve information just as it's about to forget it, you actually thicken the myelin sheath around your neurons. This locks in permanent learning and seriously accelerates how fast your brain processes those stored models. So the crucial point is this. Your IQ is not a permanent number stamped on your forehead. It is a dynamic, living system. And just like any operating system, it is built, maintained, and upgraded by your daily habits. You have the absolute power to take control of your cognitive capacity starting today. Think about it. If you applied just one of these 5 habits tomorrow, how much of your mental operating system could you upgrade in a single year? Take ownership of your intellect, keep systematically training that brain muscle, and if this explainer made you think differently, type "I control my mind" in the comments below. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you in the next explainer.